And hello everyone, welcome to the Apptrepreneur Show. I am your host, Kevin, the Apptrepreneur. This is the daily show where you want to come for news about the gig economy, the financial market, a little bit of everything in between, tech in general. Now then, I wasn't going to do an episode today because I have been working on videos for the Failed Journalist channel. There's a lot of stuff going on with the movie theater industry. That's primarily where I talk about the movie industry, and I wanted to do actual, self-contained videos that weren't cut up from the podcast. So after I did those videos, I thought, look at how much water I've drinking. We haven't even started the podcast. This is how much water I've drinking. I kind of said, maybe it's just a good day to take a break. But I couldn't help myself. I did a little bit of looking around the internet, put up some of my usual topics, and I found a few stories, just a few that I could not resist discussing. So we are going to discuss them. I don't know if this is going to be like a full hour long episode. I don't know if we're going to have a Q&A question afterwards. If any questions go unanswered, we will answer them in the next show. In the meantime, though, let's start right off the bat with our first topic. And our first topic is a follow-up on the case of Robinhood and the unfortunate death of Alex Kearns. Now, I don't have time to go into the whole thing, but here's the long and short of it. A few days ago, we reported that this young kid, Alex Kearns, had unfortunately decided to take his own life after he looked at the Robinhood app one day, and it had looked like he had lost over $730,000. Now, that video goes into way more detail on what exactly went wrong and how he didn't actually lose that kind of money, and some of the dangers of getting into stock trading on Robinhood, and I will have that link in the title card above for the replay. However, the bottom line is that one of the most frustrating aspects of that was that it appeared to have been a glitch. Like, he wasn't seeing the equity he actually had in Robinhood. The system had not caught up, and it made it look like he had lost a lot more money than he actually had. Now, I'm not completely saying that this is Robinhood's fault, of course, because unfortunately this kid did not reach out to help for anyone, and it did not appear he took the time to see exactly what was going on, but it was still an unfortunate situation for everyone involved. But the Robinhood founders have announced some major changes to the trading platform in response to this death. So, following the tragic suicide of a 20-year-old Robinhood trader after he saw a $730,000 negative balance in his account, the company's founders released a statement pledging to tighten eligibility criteria, educational resources, and upgrades to its user interface for customers trading options. Forbes first broke... Well, anyway, we don't need to go over that again. In a statement on Friday, Robinhood co-founders Vlad Tenev and Baiju Bhatt said that they were, quote, personally devastated by this tragedy and pledged to improve Robinhood's customer service. The company is looking at making adjustments to its platform around option flows involving multi-leg exercise and alignment. Robinhood is also working on changes to its user interface, namely the way buying power is displayed. In Kearns' case, although his account showed a balance of $16,000, he misinterpreted his negative $730,000 buying power and cash balance as debt he owed. I explained a couple days ago how this mistake could have occurred, in the sense that depending on whether you're looking back 1 day or 3 days or a week or a month, whatever, your negative or positive balance will shift. And I agree that probably should be, worked on. So, as Forbes first reported, it was likely that Kearns was similarly involved in what is likely a bull put spread, which involves selling put options at a higher stake price and buying puts at a lower strike price, both with the same expiration. Robinhood is now pledging to add new criteria and educational resources for customers seeking to buy and sell options in order to ensure they more fully understand the speculative nature of the trades. The company is also expanding its educational content related to options trading, with more information becoming added on early options assignments in its help center. Robinhood will hire a new options education specialist to further enhance its new offerings. In the near term, the company is rolling out improvements to its app messages and emails that it sends to customers about their multi-leg option spread, while also adding more details to its platform about the mechanics of early options assignments. As they have stated, these changes will take a bit of time to roll out, but our teams are hard at work. We remain ever committed to providing the best investing experience as well as the resources customers need to get and stay informed. The company will also donate $250,000 to the American Foundation for Suicide Prevention. And if I were them, I would also, even though they're probably not personally liable, I would probably pay for, Alex Kearns' funeral for the parents. Although I can understand why they might not be so quick to do that, because if the parents decide they want to sue Robinhood, even though I don't believe this is Robinhood's fault, that might be considered an admission of guilt or something crazy like that. I don't know. But anyway, as stated yesterday, this is of course sad. And I actually fully support the changes that they are making. I think all these things are good things, and it's a shame that we had to have like this young kid tragically lose his life before we realized that this could be misinterpreted so badly. I mean, in terms of Robinhood, had he raised this issue, had he taken a deep breath and he'd contacted parents, friends, maybe even the media, and expressed this, maybe the Robinhood founders could have pointed out what this actually meant, and then realize, well, okay, so if this was a big misunderstanding, we probably need to change our system so that we can, prevent something major from happening with people and them, thinking they'd blown their future on a Robinhood app. So this is all just unfortunate, but I'm glad that the founders are responding responsibly. I think these changes are all going to be for the good. And, I'm sorry that we had to lose someone to get to this point, but hopefully going forward we can avoid this, at least glitch or misunderstanding from happening again. In the meantime, what do all of you folks think? Do you think that this is steps in the right direction? Do you think this is not enough? What would you suggest happen? I would love to know. Comment below, like, favorite, share, subscribe, and as always, flame responsibly. Have a good one. And now, hold on one second. With that out of the way, let's talk about our second main topic. And our second main topic involves Hertz. Now, I didn't think I'd be discussing Hertz that much, particularly Hertz stock. But Hertz stock, particularly with Robinhood traders, became this really big thing for some reason. That, hey, Hertz is less than $1 a share, and it's unlikely Hertz is going to go bankrupt. So it's a risk, but it's a risk that could pay off. And the stock did a little bit of a roller coaster thing. Now, that's not exactly what we're talking about today, but it shows how involved the Robinhood community has gotten with Hertz. And here's the thing. It's typically not a good idea to buy stock from bankrupt companies. Sometimes it does work out in your favor, like with Six Flags, but most of the time it does not. And one of the things Hertz tried to do is they were going to sell $500 million of new stock that was effectively going to be worthless unless certain criteria was met, which seemed very unlikely. Well, the stock was ceased trading, and, they have ceased that goal. They are no longer going to do that, but what did that plan say about Hertz? This might be important for those of you who have shares in Hertz and thinking about getting into it. So, Hertz won't be selling $500 million in stock after all. But the bankrupt company's attempts to do so says a lot about the state of markets. What's happening? Hertz, which filed for bankruptcy 4 weeks ago, said Thursday afternoon was pulling the plug on its planned stock sale. It did so after learning Monday that the U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission was looking into the move, because it was really suspicious, that's why. The company wanted to raise cash to help it through the bankruptcy process as retail investors piled into the company's shares. But the move raised eyebrows. Even Hertz warned that the stock was likely to be worthless at the end of its bankruptcy reorganization. The episode is a clear illustration of just how speculative the market has become. The S&P 500 is on track for another week of gains, its fourth in 5 weeks, even as virus cases spike in large swaths in the United States. Investors are betting that unprecedented support from policymakers will be enough to keep propping up the market. That's created a new wave of irrational exuberance, a term popularized by former Federal Reserve Chairman Alan Greenspan, my CNN business colleague Paul R. LaMonica reports. See here, the most bought stocks on free trading app Robinhood over the last 30 days include a good chunk of what DataTrek research co-founder Nicholas Colas calls speculative trades that border on lottery tickets. The list includes Tesla competitor Nikola, guilty I suppose, the entertainment company Genius Brands, which I'm going to be fair, I'm going to buy Genius Brands. I'm not going to talk about why here, but I actually have a lot of confidence in Genius Brands. And of course Hertz, which I bought 15 because people kind of dared me to online, but I sold it because I knew it wasn't going anywhere. Otherwise, most of my portfolio is like, Coca-Cola, Microsoft, AMC, Six Flags, for the most part, stable companies. Investors are bidding up some of the worst performing companies just because they believe the current stimulus policies will keep them afloat, Hussein Syed, chief marketing strategy at FXTM, said in his report this week. Well, that's not entirely true. There's Arnold Schwarzenegger, it bought a bunch of stock in Genius Brands, so, it's not just, retail people. So, here's the thing. That the reason they were trying to sell the stock is because they were hoping that the stock would be worth something. They basically sell a bunch of stocks, make $500 million, maybe you could get them through the bankruptcy, and then the stocks would be worth something. But it was entirely speculative. Hertz could have not come out of this ahead of the game, and all those stocks would have been worthless, and you would have basically thrown your money away. Now, what happens to investors if Hertz is delisted from the stock exchange? Here's what it says. So, we'll skip over that. What happens? So, a company being delisted sounds scary for investors, but nothing directly happens to the stock you own in terms of the share count or ownership percentage. What does change is the ability for some investors to trade the shares as they're moved to over-the-counter trading, which is simply trading that takes place off the exchanges. OTC equities are generally smaller companies that can't meet requirements the exchange is set for listing, or they are delisted companies that have filed for bankruptcy like Hertz. Equities on the OTC are largely owned by retail investors because many institutional investors and hedge funds shy away from these stocks. This smaller pool of investors makes the stock less liquid, but that's not the only drawback to it being delisted. Quote, delisting our common stock may adversely impact its liquidity, impair our stockholders' abilities to buy and sell our common stock, impair our ability to raise capital, and the market price of our common stock could decrease, Hertz explained. Delisting our common stock could also adversely impact the perception of our financial condition and have additional negative ramifications, including further loss of confidence by our employees, the loss of institutional investor interest, and fewer business opportunities. So basically, if the stock gets delisted, it doesn't necessarily go away, but it's unlikely that it actually recovers. So here's the bottom line with this whole story. Please, please, please be careful with this stock. I'm trying not to give financial advice. You want to buy the stocks that you want to buy the stocks that you want to buy. Never buy any more than what you're willing to lose. It's all a gamble. And I am buying stocks that are, a little volatile and they could go away, and I'm being upfront about it. That's why I am showing you the stocks that are succeeding and not succeeding. But I'm not giving you financial advice. But I will say, because I've just seen on multiple channels that Hertz is this big speculative thing, like, hey, Hertz might survive this. And yeah, they might, but it's not looking very good. Like, their liquidity has been called, and I quote, a joke by many analysts. Like, basically, they don't have enough equity to pay off the debt. They're definitely a company that seems worth more dead than they are alive. So please be careful out there. In the meantime, share your experiences with Hertz stock, maybe even Hertz the company. Do you think they're going to make it out in the long run? Do you think they're not? I'd love to know. Comment below. Like, favorite, share, subscribe. And as always, blame responsibly. Have a good one. Now, with that said, let's go to main topic number 3. And our third main topic involves Kabaj. Yeah, really, Kabaj. I don't think we've ever discussed Kabaj on this channel, but they're basically like a money loaner company, if I recall. I think they're owned. I think they were owned by eBay at one point, and they are teaming up with Uber drivers specifically to apply for PPP loans. So if you're an Uber driver, this might be an important video for you to watch. But here's the headlines from CNBC. Kabaj. Oh, crap. They took away the article. They took away the article. I'm sorry, folks. Let's. Yep, this is the fun thing about doing it live. You know, I had the article. So let's do American Banker. So the fun. I'm not going to edit that out of the video. I am going to. Oh, of course you can't. Fun. Okay, maybe I will. Here we go. Okay. So here's the third main topic. In detail, but Kabaj is launching a PPP application for drivers and delivery people using Uber. So here's the story. Global financial services platform Kabaj announced on Tuesday it has expanded its Paycheck Protection Program with a customized application for drivers and delivery people who use Uber in the U.S. The Payment Protection Program is part of the $2 trillion C Virus Aid, Relief, and Economic Security, aka the CARES Act, signed on March 27th, 2020, aimed at getting small business owners back on their feet and millions of Americans back to work following the C virus pandemic. The U.S. Senate recently passed $484 billion in new pandemic relief funds to provide additional funding to the PPP Small Business Aid Program, pay for C virus testing, and help hospitals deluged by sick patients during the C virus pandemic. The approved package will provide $320 billion to allow PPP to take new applicants for the program, which provides forgivable loans to small businesses and keep employees on the payroll for 8 weeks. Now, this is where any Uber drivers out there might want to pay attention. Kabaj revealed now with over 130,000 SBA-approved PPP loans for more than $3.8 billion, its average loan size is $29,000 compared to the SBA's total average of $113,000. Through the new PVP application, Kabaj stated it will provide a greater number of diverse independent contractors access to funds appropriated to assist them from this COVID-19 pandemic. Speaking about the app, Kabaj CEO Rob Frohwein stated, "With more than $100 billion left in the PPP, there is a meaningful opportunity for the self-employed to still apply and receive funding. With Uber, we aim to provide hundreds of thousands of more independent contractors access to federal funding. And Kami Jensen, U.S. driver experience for Uber, then added, "Getting access to PPP funding has been difficult during this crisis for many, including people who drive and deliver using Uber and are looking for extra support. We're excited that Kabaj stepped up to design a process to streamline and enhance the application process." Kabaj recently announced more than 110,000 U.S. small businesses have been approved to receive over $3.5 billion in Payment Protection Program funding through its online lending platform. So, this is a really, really good thing for Uber drivers. It really is. So, what this will do, because here's the thing, technically, Uber is acting like drivers are independent contractors. And if you're an independent contractor, it's your own personal business. Thus, in theory, you should be able to get a PPP loan, which is money to protect you from this crisis, and they will send you a check. Now, in California, I don't know if that's going to be possible. That topic is way above my pay grade and my knowledge, because California, they have, they've said again, and really emphasize that California drivers are employees. They are not independent contractors, hence you are not your own business owner. However, in most states where this is not the case, you may actually be allowed to apply for a PPP loan. Now, of course, you could apply for it on your own, but it does appear that Kabaj is making this a, easier process, which that's what drivers need right now. So I know some people who have basically stopped driving for Uber in other states because, hey, guess what? It's not worth it. It's not safe. And Uber has clearly not helped them. So maybe cabage may be the best way to go forward in getting some protection money from the government. But I would like to know, have any of you tried this out? And if so, did it work good? Was it difficult? What was the process like? We'd love to know. Comment below, like, favorite, share, subscribe, and as always, flame responsibly. Have a good one. Sorry. And with that out of the way, let's discuss our fourth main topic. And our fourth main topic involves Amazon. And this was actually kind of amazing. I mean, I kind of had to laugh because I'm not going to lie, folks. I laugh at woke companies. I think when a company is woke, I think they're so full of BS. If you don't think that the CEOs of these big companies aren't secretly Republican and they would wish that woke culture would go away, I mean, hey, they talk a big game, but in terms of actually practicing what they preach and what they say and what they state, they don't follow anything that they say. And Amazon is definitely one of those companies. Now, CEO Jeff Bezos wrote a lead letter fairly recently about Juneteenth, and today is Juneteenth. And it's a very important day for African Americans. They like to celebrate it. And we're even actually heading towards making Juneteenth a national holiday. I hope I'm pronouncing it right, by the way. And that's a good thing. I think that's totally a good thing. But Amazon would not, he said they would not be closing their warehouses, their offices. You had to come to work, but they would instead provide, celebration of Black history and classes about the history of African Americans. They would basically try to educate people on Black culture. That was the gist of his email. So Jeff Bezos, Lex Luthor himself, says that Amazon, which first will not give them a day off because, he's Lex Luthor, he's greedy, but we will educate people on what it's like to be Black in America. You would think someone who is confident enough to educate people about being Black in America would probably learn that you don't want to serve Amazon workers chicken and waffles on the Juneteenth. Now, for those of you who are not aware, and I'm going to admit my ignorance, I didn't know exactly what this meant for the longest time. I had known for years that, suggesting that Black people eat chicken and waffles was considered racist. Be honest, I didn't know why. It's like chicken and waffles are delicious. Everyone likes chicken and waffles. So what's the problem? Well, of course, I decided to do a little research because I like to educate myself. And this is what I discovered. Now, Code Switch was talking about a story with Tiger Woods, but that's not important. What's important is this. This Black people and fried chicken thing is really old. It's not even the first time a professional golfer made a joke about fried chicken and Tiger Woods. What is it with this stereotype about Black people loving fried chicken? And so this writer asked Claire Schmidt for help. She's a professor at the University of Missouri who studies race and folklore. Schmidt said chickens had long been part of Southern diets, but they had particular utility for slaves. They were cheap, easy to feed, and a good source of meat. And that might be one of the problems. But then, Schmidt says, came Birth of a Nation. D.W. Griffith's seminal and supremely racist 1915 film about the supposedly heroic founding of the Ku Klux Klan was a huge sensation when it debuted. One scene in the 3-hour features, this is a 3-hour movie, by the way, silent film, 3 hours, and yes, I've sat through it in one sitting. Pray for my soul. Features a group of actors portraying shiftless Black elected officials acting rowdy and crudely in a legislative hall. The message to the audience: these are the dangers of letting Blacks vote. I mean, this is a pretty ugly movie when you watch it. Some of the legislators are shown drinking. Others had their feet kicked up on their desks. And one of them was very ostentatiously eating fried chicken. The image really solidified the way white people thought of black people and fried chicken, Schmidt said. So the thing is, when I read this, because it's been a while since I've seen Birth of a Nation, and Birth of a Nation is a movie that I respect for its filmmaking techniques, but it's not fun to watch. It really makes you feel unclean when it's over. And I can't remember every single thing, but then I read this and I remember that scene, and yeah, there was that, supposed black guy, because it was really all white actors in blackface, who was eating a lot of chicken. And he was, and it was pretty ugly. So that's where the chicken stereotype came from and why it's offensive. But then let's go back to Amazon, because Amazon totally botched this. I mean, I don't even know what to say, because Jeff Bezos, he did encourage, in all fairness, that people cancel their meetings, but he wasn't going to shut Amazon down. He wasn't going to give anyone the day off. And he said he was going to do something to help educate people about black experience. And he seemed to be pretty obtuse, at the very least, about the problem with chicken and waffles. And again, this is nothing against chicken and waffles themselves. Chicken and waffles are delicious. I love them. Everyone loves them. I'm sure there's a lot of black people who love chicken and waffles. It's a stereotype, and it comes from a very hurtful movie. And on a day when you are celebrating the end of slavery, to basically give workers, chicken and waffles on this day, that was just dumb. That was just really, really dumb of them to do. So, is this the biggest deal in the world? Maybe not, but it just goes to show that when all these companies say, we support you, we want to learn, we are knowledgeable, we will help, they're full of it. They don't know anything about history. They just want your money. They're just saying things because they want you to buy from them. Because when you get down to little things like, Juneteenth, you find that they're giving black employees chicken and waffles. Hey, I think it's funny. I'd love to. I can't wait to see what Amazon's explanation for this is. But anyway, I'd like to know, what do you think about this? Do you think this was pure ignorance on Amazon's part, or do you think it was just an honest mistake? Or hey, do you not get the big deal about the chicken and waffles in the first place? I would love to know. Comment below, like, favorite, share, subscribe, and as always, flame responsibly. Have a good one. Now, there is one more video there is one more topic we are going to discuss. And then we are going to wrap this up. I told you it would be a shorter episode than usual. And this is primarily for my failed journalist channel, so Apptrepreneur fans, sorry, but we have the first images of Studio Ghibli's first CG feature, Aya and the Witch. And I'm pretty honest with people about Studio Ghibli. I am a huge fan of the studio. I'm a huge fan of the films. I love Hayao Miyazaki. The works of Isao Takahata are wonderful. They have actually produced some of my favorite films. Whisper of the Heart, Kiki's Delivery Service, Spirited Away, Princess Mononoke, Grave of the Fireflies. Movies I could not imagine my life being nearly as good had I not seen them. And they've always done hand-drawn stuff. They did experiment with a CGI cell look with Ronya, a TV series that's on Amazon Prime. But they announced that they were going to be making their first full CG animated feature, and I didn't know how to think about it. And we now have a look at what it looks like. So this is the first screenshot, and this is being directed by Goro Miyazaki, Hayao Miyazaki's son. And I'm looking at these images, and I've definitely got mixed reactions. Maybe I have to see them in motion, but here's the thing. It does look like a Ghibli film. It really, really does look like a Ghibli film. These are typical Studio Ghibli designs, and they're instantly recognizable. But here's the thing. As drawings, they look beautiful. As CGI, they look really plastic. Now, again, maybe I have to see it in motion. The cat's kind of cute. but I'm not entirely won over by this. I think one of the reasons I still like Studio Ghibli is because, like, look at this. If this was hand drawn, I could see, like, the animation just bringing life to it, the paint, but it looks like a toy. It just looks like a toy here, and I've always had that issue with CGI to a certain extent. There's a reason it looks so well with Toy Story, because CGI makes everything look a little plastic, in my opinion, and, Toy Story. But I don't know. I mean, again, the bottom line is it will come down to the movie itself. Is the movie any good? And hopefully it will be good. Goro Miyazaki is not as consistent as his father. His first movie was Tales from Earthsea, and that is pretty much one of the top 3 weakest films that Ghibli has made. His other movie, From Up on Poppy Hill, was a heck of a lot better, but still not exactly great. So I don't have a whole lot of confidence in this particular movie, but we'll see. It's going to be interesting. But my question to you is, are any of you fans of Studio Ghibli? If so, what do you think of these images? Do you think they look great? Do you think they look bad? I'd love to know. Comment below. Like, favorite, share, subscribe. And as always, flame responsibly. Now, before I go, I'm just going to look over the... I see we have some people here. Rules for Rebels, Go Donnie, and Brooklyn Style. And so thank you all for joining us. I'm sorry I don't really have time to discuss the comments today. This was going to be a short video, as I explained early on. But hey, thank you for joining anyway. I'd like to know if any of you are watching this in the future, what do you think about any of these topics? I would love to know. Comment below. Like, favorite, share, subscribe. And as always, flame responsibly. And now...